From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
A deadly snowstorm continues to push east.
We're really racing against time because it is going to get really cold on Tuesday and Wednesday, especially, and Thursday.
See what's on the way behind it. A major announcement from the leader of one of our top trading partners.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister.
What it means for producers on both sides of the border as cattle prices hit another record.
People are buying replacements at such high prices, and they're even fat cattle they're buying at outrageous prices.
Could they climb even higher? An update right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer. More farmers choose Pioneer brand corn because it delivers game-changing yields. Join a winning team. Pioneer brand corn. Your best year starts here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Happening right now, cattle prices are continuing to push higher. In fact, cash cattle prices have been higher for 7 straight weeks. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins me. Michelle, what's fueling the latest price action?
Clinton, Fed cash cattle trade hit record levels last week. It's again a combination of historically tight supplies with slaughter levels below even the previous year, strong beef demand, and now weather with a winter storm in cattle country. The big question is whether last week was the high or if there's even more upside in the market. Cash-fed cattle trade hit all-time highs last week. The North led the advance with negotiated dress prices mostly $312 to $315 and livestock prices mostly $200 paid by majors, but even some higher than that.
Without saying the Packers' names, I can come up with 5, I believe, that paid $2 here in our neck of the woods on Friday. And with some instances of, my brother sold a pen of cattle for me to a regional for $201 on Friday. Picked up, of course.
The South traded mostly $196 to $197, up $4 to $5.
I know that on Saturday that there were some isolated bids in Kansas for $197 for which Saturday? That's crazy. That's unheard of.
Coima thinks cash could be higher again this week, despite fresh formula cattle due to weather, strong beef demand, and tight numbers, especially in the north. Steer and heifer slaughter for 2024 ended 0.5% below a year ago, and cow slaughter was down even further.
Cow slaughter down a mile, 18 or 19% for the year. So this need to find the grind, hamburger type meat is very real. And demand for that has been almost unprecedented how good it is. So I think steady higher. I think there's a shot at 202 on the right kind here in the north.
Cattle producers like Ty Klabnish, a farmer feeder in Nebraska, are still optimistic about the cash cattle market, but for just how long?
Till April, and then I think you're going to see a devastating turn. I think it's gonna burn some people pretty bad if you're not protected.
His outlook is based on the higher weights, which are making up for tight numbers and some early signs of herd expansion.
This year I am. This year is the first year I've actually seen quite a bit more heifer retention than the past years.
Plus, he's concerned about the record cash prices being paid in the feeder market.
People are buying replacements at such high prices, and they're even fat cattle they're buying at outrageous prices. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I seen the highest I've ever seen, which was right down the road here. They sold 650-pound steers for just shy of $5.
Even with tight margins, he says some feedlots have to pay up as they need the cattle, and the numbers just aren't there, especially with the U.S. still banning Mexican feeder cattle due to New World screwworm. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. While issues on the southern border are impacting cattle prices, there are new changes for our neighbors in the north. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is resigning as leader of the ruling Liberal Party. Now, this comes ahead of a general election later this year, which Trudeau has widely expected to lose. The general election must be held on or before October 20th, but could be moved up. Now, Trudeau has led the Liberal Party for 11 years and been Prime Minister for 9. The 53-year-old is facing a host of crises, including President-elect Trump's tariff threats, the resignation of key allies, and disastrous opinion polls. Now, currently, conservative Pierre Poilievre appears to be the favorite to replace Trudeau.
If we do have Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre, I think we can expect a little bit more of a sharper tone. I think we're going to expect him to be a little bit more transactional in his dealings with the U.S. He has said in the last couple months very clearly, just outright, we cannot afford not to be trading with the United States. Like, I'm paraphrasing there, but he recognizes the importance of this relationship, and there's a lot of angst in Canada right now because we essentially have a lame duck prime minister. And we've got an inauguration on January 20th in the U.S. and threats of pretty significant tariffs on Canada.
So Trudeau will remain prime minister until a new leader is chosen. Haney tells me Canada will likely hold those elections in the next 60 to 90 days. People are digging out this morning from a deadly winter storm that pushed across the central part of the country before pummeling the nation's capital and mid-Atlantic states. As Lauria Geary reports, it led to hundreds of crashes, flight cancellations, and knocked out power for thousands.
More snowplows than planes, it seemed, were moving on runways in several cities across the central and mid-Atlantic U.S. The day started with around 55 million people under winter weather alerts, road crews and residents alike trying to shovel away the snow as fast as it was falling. Washington, D.C. and at least 6 states declared emergencies, one of them Kentucky.
We're really racing against time because it is going to get really cold on Tuesday and Wednesday. Especially and Thursday.
Kentucky's highways, like many in surrounding states, were covered in thousands of transportation workers assisting with plowing, towing, and accident response. In some cases, first responders were the ones in need of assistance. In the nation's capital, 5 inches of snow fell before sunrise, with several more inches anticipated throughout the day. The city's mayor imploring people to stay off the roads if they could. But conditions were perfect for the 15th annual DC Snowball Fight held at Meridian Hill Park. And in the Central Plains,
it's pretty slam getting people off the road and helping people out, doing our part.
Towing companies are keeping busy as snowfalls in Kansas and Missouri hit between 13 and 18 inches in some places.
We saw 5 or 6 cars in the ditch on the way here.
Behind the storm, cold air is spilling south, with temperatures sub-freezing for millions of people in that region. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting for AgDay.
And these storm systems are also ushering in much colder conditions. Meteorologist Alyssa Heilman joins us with the very latest.
That's exactly right. Behind that large snow system that impacted so much the United States, especially Kansas, where they saw the blizzard warning and those blizzard conditions around. Seeing cold air moving in, the purple and the pink that you're seeing there in the north central United States, again, is those colder temperatures moving in. Bismarck just a high of 10 degrees today, Rapid City 15, and just around 20 in Minneapolis and down into Omaha, and some colder conditions even into the Midwest with just highs in the 20s in St. Louis and in Chicago. Going into tomorrow morning, again, seeing this a large area of purple and pink, which means those cold temperatures in a large portion of the United States, in the central United States, and again into areas of the Midwest and into the Great Lakes, seeing those cold temperatures just a degree there in St. Louis. And then tomorrow midday, that cold is moving a little bit more east, seeing it impact most of the Midwest as well as the Great Lakes there. High of just 19 in Minneapolis, high of just 20s as we go through a majority of the Midwest. And Missouri, now among the states also covered in a blanket of white. Our photographer, Matt Mormon, sending up his drone in Warrensburg. The state also seeing some freezing rain over the weekend. The combined snow and ice forcing officials to close busy I-29 for a time. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
California has conducted its first check of the snowpack this season. State water resource officials finding average snowpack levels in the Sierra Nevada showing 24 inches of snow depth and a snow water equivalent of 9 inches. That's 91% of the average at the Phillips Station. The Sierra Snowpack provides about 30% of the state's water needs. Experts who conducted the manual survey say, while the snowpack looks good now, there's a long way to go until April when the snowpack peaks.
80 corridor. Got a ton of snow with those atmospheric rivers, but it was less and less as we moved south through the state. So the central Sierra region is about just below average right now. And the southern Sierra is about 75% of average. So that's a big difference throughout the state. Precipitation similarly is above average in the northern third of the state, above the I-80 corridor. It's average to slightly below average in the central third of the state, and well below average like 0 to 20 or 30% in the southern third of the state. So they really have not gotten as much as we've gotten in the north part.
Right now, reservoirs statewide are currently at 121% of average, thanks to consecutive above average snow seasons. But California's water supply is still being closely watched after the driest 3-year period on record. Grains and cattle markets starting the new year with some positive momentum. We'll take a look at what's lending strength to prices next. And a new year brings new leadership for ag youth programs in Louisiana. That's today in the country.
AgDay is sponsored by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels, perfected in conventional, excels in no-till. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package.
Grains and cattle pushed higher again on Monday. AgDay's Michelle Rook has more on a mostly positive start to the week in markets now.
Grains closing to the plus side on Monday. Naomi Bloom is back with analysis. Naomi, let's talk about corn and soybeans specifically. We did see a retracement because of this Argentina weather situation, but still can't get through resistance levels. Why?
Well, market, I think, is waiting for additional confirmation on weather in South America, specifically Argentina, and then also starting to keep an eye towards Friday's USDA report. So the March corn contract currently in a range where 450 is support, 460 is resistance. And, again, still trying to keep an eye on that Argentina weather. If the forecast continues as hot and dry, that's a reason for maybe one more bump higher in the marketplace. But if they come in and they put better chances of rain in the forecast, that's really going to be a nail in the coffin for prices in terms of getting much higher than where we are right now, because there's going to be then that perception that there will be enough supply in the world for corn and soybeans both. Now, looking ahead to Friday's report, that is the cornerstone piece for the entire first quarter for trade. So we really have to keep an eye on that report, and that January report has so many twists and turns that can come from it. And, just remember, we've got some pretty decent values in front of you for old crop, and even thinking about new crop pricing might be a good point to get started.
Because after we get done with the data dump on Friday, the seasonals actually start working against us.
That's really true for the soybean market. Looking back at the last 18 years, there's only been 3 years that soybean prices have rallied into the end of January.
Let's talk about the new administration and the tariff talk on Monday that did actually influence the market, because it was a factor, wasn't it?
It was more in response to the Washington Post had a commentary thinking that maybe the tariffs and trades weren't going to be as big of an issue. And then President Trump came out and tweeted that the Washington Post story was wrong and affected the value of the US dollar during the trading day. So now we're back to having to watch every single tweet that comes out from President Trump.
Thanks so much, as always, Naomi Bloom with Total Farm Marketing. We'll have more AgDay coming out. Watch Markets Now with Michelle Rook on the Farm Journal YouTube channel, keeping you updated throughout the day on the markets at the open, midday, and close. Find out what moved the markets today and what to expect the market to do next.
Well, we talked about the air temperatures that are cold throughout the United States, but the feel-like temperatures, of course, even colder, which is always the case in winter and when we have those windy conditions around through a large portion of the United States. Seeing the area of pink and purple and blue, of course, cooler than normal. Seeing those conditions, just 8 degrees in Omaha for that feel-like temperature, 9 in Rapid City, just 3 in Bismarck for this afternoon. So cold temperatures are around, and that continues as we go into tomorrow morning as well. Seeing those wind chill temperatures in the morning in the negatives for some areas in the north central United States. Now we're taking a look at precipitation here, seeing this snow system that of course impacted a large portion of the United States, and it brought rain to portions of the south. It's moving off of the east coast there, then just seeing some snowy conditions in the northeast off of the lakes there. That's the case for Tuesday going into Wednesday, seeing some lake effect snow coming off of the lakes there as we've got a northwest wind Tuesday into Wednesday. and then just seeing some snowy conditions down into New Mexico, and then another system building. You can see it there down in Texas, bringing some snow and some precipitation into Texas and continuing as it goes through the United States into portions of the plains and then into the Midwest as we go Friday into Saturday. That's our next system that's going to move through portions of the United States, starting down there in the south, moving towards the East Coast. Temperature outlook for January 13th to the 19th. Well, surprisingly, we're going to see those below normal temperatures actually in portions of our south and our southeast. Seeing Florida there, the coldest temperatures, or not the coldest temperatures, the most below average temperatures down there in Florida, that lightest or the darkest blue there. Seeing a large portion of the United States having those temperatures lower than they would usually be. Seeing all of that blue, it's light blue, but it's still blue, so below normal temperatures are sticking around for most of the United States, except for some areas in the north. We're seeing Minnesota there with some warmer than usual temperatures, which is surprising for them in winter. Precipitation outlook, well, we're seeing dry conditions in the east and dry conditions out on the west coast. Some areas of the central United States are going to be wetter than normal in this precipitation outlook, January 13th to the 19th. Springfield, Ohio, cloudy conditions, high of 21, low of 18. Then we've got John Day, Oregon, with a high of 42 degrees, low of 29. Finally, Manhattan, Kansas, high of 30, low of 15, cloudy conditions.
Could a drop in milk production actually lead to better prices? One market watcher says continued lower production right now could significantly change the market outlook. However, Robin Schmall says right now the current milk supply is sufficient. He says Class 3 milk futures fell substantially from mid-October through November, and he says it was hoped that holiday demand would support the market. However, underlying cheese prices continue to decline, and he says since buyers had already purchased sufficient supplies and demand was not improving as hoped, milk production, meanwhile, was higher than expected. It was thought it would decline due to the impact of avian flu and tight heifer supplies. Recently, egg prices skyrocketed amid the avian flu crisis, setting new records. Midwest egg prices hit $6.07 per dozen. Now that breaks the previous record of $5.46 from December of 2022. Avian flu outbreaks and holiday demand have tightened supply, leading to higher prices and reports of shortages. Now there's no shortage of future opportunities in agriculture. Up next, we'll meet the leader helping share that message with Louisiana kids in the country.
The Dairy Report on Ag Day is brought to you by Enogen. Enogen delivers more available energy to your cattle, increased starch digestibility, and improved silage quality. Energize your operation with Enogen corn for feed.
There's a new executive director of Louisiana Agricultural Education and state FFA advisor. As LSU Ag Center reporter Craig Gautreaux tells us, the former high school ag teacher has big plans.
Cade Lejeune grew up in a rural area, but it wasn't on a farm. During his younger school years, he had aspirations of becoming a teacher, but it was an agricultural class in high school that sent him down his current career path.
Once I got to middle school, I thought maybe this could be a possible career path, but then when I took ag, I realized, yeah, I want to be that kind of teacher.
Being an FFA member offered Lejeune an opportunity to travel and experience agriculture through a different lens. Now, as executive director, he wants to remove obstacles and grow the membership.
We need to secure funding to where no child in this state who's in an ag class is prevented from being an FFA member because of a financial barrier.
While the number of people living on farms is decreasing, Lejeune believes there are still plenty of employment opportunities for young people in agriculture.
I mean, only 2% of the U.S. population is in production ag, but there's 20% of all careers in the United States are based in agriculture. So there's a big demand for students to become trained in jobs within the ag industry.
Lejeune is proud of where Louisiana FFA is today. and he would like to continue the success the organization has received on the national level.
We hear all the time about how Louisiana doesn't do well in education. We rank at the bottom of all these things. We don't rank at the bottom in FFA in Louisiana. We are one of the predominant programs nationwide because we have outstanding ag teachers and because we have students who work really hard.
Since 2017, Louisiana FFA has experienced a 35% growth in membership and now has more than 13,000 members. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gotro reporting.
All right, thanks, Craig, and that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.